Hello? Hello, hello? Yeah, hey, I want to record this message for you, to help you get settled in on your first night. Company policy, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Starters, whatever you do, don't shut the doors. The animatronics, they like hugs a lot. If you shut it on them, they get real sad. Freddy specifically.
I feel like you're lying to me.
This is a pre-recorded message.
Oh, yeah, duh. Wait, what?
Anyways, have fun dying.
Oh, does somebody need a hug?
No. Hi guys, Theory here, and thank you all for 500 subscribers. I hit it while I was on vacation, so I didn't really get a good chance to actually celebrate, but nonetheless, thank you. And I'm gonna go off script a little bit here. This is actually very huge for me. Thank you, really. It felt for like the longest time that this channel was just gonna go nowhere. It felt like Sisyphus rolling up a stone only for it to roll right back down the hill. And it's honestly just amazing to see this actually go somewhere. Before this channel had gone through like 2 other phases, where I'd post videos, nothing would come of it, and I'd delete it all, starting anew, wiping it over. That's why this channel is roughly 4 or 5 years old by now, despite my only video dating back, 22, 23, I don't even remember. But thank you, really, and I hope to see the channel go even farther than even I could imagine. To celebrate, I'll be playing through every FNAF game in order. I'll go more in depth to it later in the video. Today I've got a slightly different video for you. A viewer by the name of Calcutta Drop 6371 left a comment on a previous video asking if they could present a theory. I thought, this is cool, someone wants to tell me their theory. And I thought it'd be a simple, oh, this person is the reason for this, or this equals this, kind of thing. But nope. I was instead treated to a theory that I can confidently say outclasses all other Twitter and Reddit theories I've seen thus far. It has a lot of evidence to back it up and honestly fits well with everything we know about the series. It's not some major leap in logic, it's a reasonable and well thought out theory that, for the most part, doesn't mess with the lore too much, but does give context to what little story was thought out early in the game series. I've been leading you on for quite a bit now about this amazing theory, so I think it's about time we get into the meat and potatoes of this theory. The theory's structure may be slightly different from its original source, mainly just to fit video format better. I'll do a comparison to the original post near the end of the video, and one last thing before we get into it all. All of this is just a theory, so be respectful. To begin, we're gonna have to take a massive leap back, a whole 10 years into the past, all the way back to FNAF 1. FNAF 1's location is the only time in the whole series where guards being murdered at night by animatronics was a regular occurrence. FNAF 2 had 3 guards. Guard 1, who might be William, probably William, actually, left after a week.
You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week, but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift.
He's likely the reason for the hostile animatronics. Jeremy, who likely got his frontal lobe nibbled, at the very least, albeit it's not confirmed, but a generally agreed upon idea by theorists, and Fritz, who may or may not be Michael. There are some notable revelations here. FNAF 2 establishes via phone guy that this is the first time this problem has ever occurred. Guard 1's reports were thought of as impossible, and it's only during Jeremy's week they start to figure out a theory.
So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office.
And offer some solutions.
And as for the rest of them, we have an even easier solution. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without a costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved.
This tells us that the original location that was open up for a bit after the murders either didn't have night guards, makes sense enough, no big crime, no need, or the puppet hadn't got to the animatronics yet. It also tells us that guard fatalities are something they're actively trying to avoid.
Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety. they've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility. They even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away.
FNAF 3 is Michael. Some people will say Hudson, but I see no reason for it to be anyone other than Michael. Plus, this Scrap Trap line,
"You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, it's still me,"
makes no sense if Michael wasn't the FNAF 3 guard. FNAF 1, though, has a whole procedure for it. Body removed, properly cleaned and bleached, carpets replaced, missing persons report within 90 days.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced.
An institutional solution for it combined with phone guys, most people don't last that long, implies many guards at this location have come and perished before Michael arrives in 92-93. A little side rant from the creator here. It doesn't matter, but TLDR 93 has never been proven. MatPat picked it because of the Aurora Chuck E. Cheese incident. The tax status said it could be anywhere from 91 to 96, and the fast fact that referred to it was cut and may not be canon, but that would have the work week not align with FNAF 2, which is a Sunday to Saturday and has Friday the 13th as your last payday. 92 is the only other date in Friday the 13th and the work week lineup. The fact that not only have a ton of guards died, but there's a procedure for it means this company is both aware and doesn't care. But why? Oh, I hit a cord. But why? This isn't the hugely profitable 2030 super empire capitalist Fazbear Entertainment sweeping a few missing kids and staff under the rug. This is the 1990s floundering Fazbear. Why waste so much time and money dealing with dozens of dead guards? Unless gathering dead guards is the goal. It's time we ask another question. Who's running the Fazbear show in the 1990s? Henry's out of the timeline from the mid-80s up until right around FNAF 6, perhaps sulking in his own guilt. The creator of this theory prescribes the idea he was framed, which explains the newspaper clipping saying the suspect was convicted, then spend a couple of decades in jail and starting FNAF 6 projects right after getting out. And honestly, I'm gonna have to agree with them. Cause it fits, it's neat. But even if he was here, Henry would never allow any of this to happen. And we already covered why the faceless corporate overlord types wouldn't do this. The profit motive isn't there. The location is a dirty, dusty, crumbling mess, and the cleanup procedure is massive and expensive. That only leaves our favorite purple killer, William Afton, who is alive at this point, was free as recently as 1987, and we have zero evidence he was charged for the DCI/Save Them incident. I still have no clue if that's a real incident. I'm kind of just playing by ear of it never being brought up ever in most theories until recently. I swear, I've never seen it up until now. William Afton was running the FNAF 1 location and funding the cleanups of stuffed, dead guards. But why? Well, for years, the fandom has talked of William doing remnant experiments, soul experiments, and maybe even agony experiments. That's how we get the theory the original 5 souls have ended up in Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, Ballora, maybe Baby, and eventually in Molten Freddy and the Blob. But would William really have stuck to the same handful of souls, especially as he seemingly didn't want to mess with his daughter? Why not get a larger sample size? Recreate the suffering. But kids are too risky to go after. He's done that twice now and gotten away with it by the skin of his teeth. People care about kids. But what about the poor working class? What if just a handful, maybe a few more than that, were to just suddenly up and vanish? Would anyone even care? I mean, seriously, no one's gonna miss that random worker at the Walmart or the random fast food guy that handed you a cheeseburger once or twice. The creator of this theory, and subsequently me, believe that the FNAF 1 location, bear-themed and all, is a honeypot. It's a trap. It would certainly explain things like the door design and power supply. Transients. So I had to look this up because I'm 90% sure the commenter was British. It basically means a homeless person. Desperate people, poor workers down in their luck. Read a newspaper ad, or even maybe a Craigslist ad if it was available back then. Then just like that, dead in a few days, stuffed and ready for testing. This theory predates the movie. But the movie 100% backs it up with him encouraging people to take the job. Disguising himself as Steve Raglan, a person to help you find a job, stuff like that. The location may have closed in 92 and 93, but the FNAF 2 ending and phone guidelines suggest it may have opened up far sooner than that, possibly within a year of the FNAF 2 location closing. Dozens of people could have died before that place finally closed down at year's end, a few weeks after Michael's vigilanteing. And seemingly, it didn't work. Maybe because the suffering wasn't enough. Maybe these men lacked the hope to hold on that the kids did. Trained by a terrible life prior, or maybe it's simply because the puppet began to figure it all out and wasn't going to help bring anyone back. Not anymore. We know that they were in the FNAF 1 location, both from the timeline and the FNAF 2 cutscenes, yet we never see him. So eventually, as the place shut down, William decided to take a closer look at the originals. Break them up, study their bits, perhaps reuse them. What made them so special? It would explain why that original remnant kept being reused. The circumstances were specific, and it was hard to get more. They were no longer needed as unintentional killers. Then there's sister location, which is usually placed next to FNAF 1 in the timeline. Either before or after, it really just depends on who you ask. While it's not as blatant, it's the only other location with hints of prior guard fatalities, plus the 2 technicians who were killed. Rest in peace. Interesting enough, this is the one place we know for a solid fact was a William operation. That's the main theory, to put it simply. The FNAF 1 location is a trap to lure in guards to get stuffed or used for remnant experiments. It didn't work, so William eventually scrapped the animatronics to study directly after it closed. And if you're enjoying so far, consider liking and subscribing. As a fun little side goal, I want to try and get at least noticed by MatPat or one of the big theorists by the end of the year, if that's even possible. And your support would really help me achieve that goal. Okay, here's the bit of a stretch part. Phone Guy, the eternal enigma. Leading candidate to be the purple guy for over a year. We know he was innocent, and in hindsight it was kind of obvious from the start. The FNAF 2 phone calls very clearly tell us it's the day shift guard / former night guards, and they aren't the same person as Phone Guy.
Especially concerning any previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available.
Heck, they trick Phone Guy. But he's definitely sketchy. He helps hide what's going on in the FNAF 2 location. Covers up springlock fatalities, organizes the safe rooms being sealed, and knows very well what's happening to all the guards in the FNAF 1 location. He's not a killer. But what he is a die-hard company loyalist who has been complicit in and helped cover up numerous crimes. Bit of a toady. Toady, a person who behaves obsequently to someone important, obsequently obedient or attentive to an excessive or servile degree. Once again, I'm pretty sure this commenter is British. Glad to know my content's reaching across the oceans. We also have evidence implying William has blackmailed or threatened people more than once. He had to get the Fun Times designs past those executives somehow, and they knew what they were for. Someone was arrested in the 80s for the MCI, and it clearly wasn't him. Henry is the prime theory, as it explains a bunch of other things, but back in the day, a popular option was the guy in the Foxy costume from Foxy Go Go, or one of the other bullies from FNAF 4. And even more fuel to the fire, the possibility that Oswald's dad is the Freddy bully. We got 3 out of the 4 bullies now. So I'm thinking we're gonna get that last one relatively soon. Actually, you know what? I say that, I'm going off on a rant here, and I'll probably keep this in the video. We're getting Carnival games soon, and that's probably around Bite of 83, so we might see Michael, or slightly younger Michael, as well as the other 3 bullies. I think that'd be very interesting. The cuckoo banana pants theory is that Phone Guy was essentially strong-armed into being William's Igor, or right-hand man, in running the FNAF 1 location, handling the logistics of new hires and managing the cleanups. Phone Guy is likely a toady to start with, and William could easily threaten to either frame him for the DCI / save them, or just leak all the audio of Phone Guy covering up the various deaths on behalf of Fazbear over the years, likely edited to relieve William of any blame. The tapes were in the same room as Spring Bonnie, just ask Phone Dude.
First of all, we found some vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes?
That would explain why Phone Guy, while not being the killer, is clearly involved in such nasty business. Toady to William to the end. Man, that's such a weird word to say. Especially when being credibly threatened. It would also explain why in FNAF 1, despite towing the line and never fully telling you to leave and never come back, or something sensible like that, he does try to give subtle hints to either help you out or warn you without crossing the line. His previous deeds were impersonal and detached. He was the middleman, not the cause. Now he's directly involved like never before. He can't write off the blame in his mind anymore. Only following orders is a lot harder when you're there in person and leading people to their deaths directly. So he's trying desperately to get some warnings out in between dismissing them, and legal jargon, and lying to you about the cause of malfunction. This would also explain his fate. While Phone Guy has been a guard since the place opened, as indicated by his FNAF 2 dialogue, it was obviously more of a training role. Head guard served only on paper in a lot of ways. He wasn't doing it weekly for all those years. But I'm guessing his disobedience and evidence of trying to sneak out warnings eventually came to William's attention. This combined with the fact that all the stuffed guards weren't really working out in the experiments, and William was probably getting angry. He sent Phone Guy to do things in person and ensured he'd never come back. It was his last week, just as promised. I realize saying that last line, I should probably give evidence for that. He's shown in multiple medias, actually, to, in a way, be controlling the animatronics, so I guess that is why. Because, he can control the animatronics with the yellow suit. Whatever, you get the idea. It was indeed his last week, just as promised. So this is the theory, but obviously the video isn't over, because we got a little bit more to talk about. I absolutely adore this theory. It makes a lot of sense considering what we know about William from the books and movie. Manipulation, agony/remnant experiments, guilt-tripping, blackmailing, all are things we've seen. Or at least heard him do, I guess. But we don't really think about the implications outside of what we've been directly told and or shown. The other major thing that this theory does, at least in my opinion, is the use of Phone Guy's calls as evidence. The reason I say this is because I almost never see people talk about his calls anymore. Maybe because they're all the way back in FNAF 1 through 3, or maybe because the story has changed dramatically since then. I'm not sure. But to say I had completely forgotten about 90% of what he talks about is an understatement. I forgot how much lore is actually dropped in these calls. Like, when I was originally reading through this for the script, I was like, is this real evidence? Or are they making this up? And then when I went to go see the calls, it's real. I made myself look like a fool for doubting this. I will eventually be refreshing myself on all the lore by streaming myself playing all the games. The Funko one excluded, I'm not playing that. In order from FNAF 1 to Into the Bit. I have to work out a time first, as well as what I want the punishment to be for each death, just to make things a little bit more interesting. More information about this will come in the future in either a video or maybe a short or a YouTube post or tweet or something, just something. As is most early games, the contents within are subject to change due to being so early in the series creation. With that being said, the week before, the book about Phone Guy himself, aka Ralph, could make or break this theory. As of writing this, the week before has gotten leaked, or released early, or something, I don't really know. I've been avoiding spoilers as much as possible to be as fair as possible towards Calcutta Drop and their theory. We'll see what becomes of this theory once the week before officially comes out. But till then, we can sit and discuss this theory and its implications. Once again, I want to thank Calcutta Drop for allowing me to make a video on their amazing and well put together theory. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, my name is Theory. Bye bye.